respected guest of the day, Mr. Abdul Shukur, my friend, Mr. Shabir Maan, my dear colleagues and friends who have joined for the session. Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome back to the second session of the online interdisciplinary lecture series jointly organized by History Department and Research Club of English. Without much formalities, we will begin the session. So today we have Mr. Abdul Shukur as our resource person to talk about EIA 2020, Environment Impact Assessment, and its multiple ramifications in the present scenario. He is presently serving as the director of Garcenia Foundation, an NGO formed by research scholars of environmental science, medical and law students. Mr. Shukur has done his bachelor's in chemistry from Calicut University and his master's in environmental science and management from Mahatma Gandhi University. He has more than 6 years of experience in environmental impact assessment and biodiversity assessment. He has also participated in Southern Indian Ocean Expedition 2018 and Indian Arctic Expedition in 2015. He is currently doing his research in atmospheric air pollution at School of Environmental Science, MG University. So we are fortunate to have a resource person with vast experience to talk about EIA 2020. Welcome, Shukur, and I once again welcome Mr. Abdul Shukur on behalf of the organizing committee. I also welcome all other participants, teachers, research scholars, and students to the online lecture series, and especially to the second session. Without much formalities, I welcome Shukur to deliver the talk. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Shukur.
Thank you. So before beginning this talk, I would like to thank Mohammed Ali sir. He's one of my best friend, and Shabir Maan sir. He was the teacher in PSMO college when I was doing my graduation there. And I also congratulate the research department for conducting this kind of talk webinars regarding new topics and diverse topics that will enrich the students' capacity to interact, to know the things based on from the different fields. So straight away I will go to the presentation. Okay, so we have heard a lot about EIA 2020, that is Environmental Impact Assessment 2020. It has get more on the newspapers only in the last date of giving comments and regulations, suggestions regarding the draft notifications, that is August 11. But the actual draft notification came in March 23. That was through a notification in MOF website. So they are modifying the Environmental Impact Assessment 2006. So we were in the pandemic lockdown situations, and most of the people couldn't follow what's going or what's there, because we were trying to save our lives from these pandemic situations. But fortunately, there are people who cares about the environment and the responsibility of different, their responsibility to conserve, to protect the environmental perspectives or environmental resources of our country. So that's why we were planning, we were doing some things regarding the environmental conservations. So we have the Garcenia Foundation. I am a member in Garcenia Foundation. We started recently in the last year, based in Kottayam, under the leadership of few people, few research scholars in MG University and the name Garcinia came from the campus tree that was it is the one of the old trees in the campus, that is Garcinia gummigutta, നമ്മുടെ കൊടംപുളി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അതിന്റെ ഒരു പേരിൽ നിന്നാണ്. We have taken that name for our foundation or our NGO. So the basic concept of this NGO is to share, spread or make awareness on environmental perspectives and different kind of environmental issues or environmental knowledge bases. So introduce a few books or few related materials to the public regarding environment. So that was the basic idea. So we have started on that aspect. And before going to the topic, we will have a look into the few slides for photographs. So this is the first one. You can see that is Shobha City in Thrissur, built in wetland area, and see the difference between construction and then scenic beauty. So it will be followed in other slides too, just to keep in touch with the topic. So this one is Adrapalli waterfall, and this is another dam. So what will be the most beautiful thing in life or in the nature, whether to free flow or to be blocked by some constructions, or what will happen when a dam is built up in Adrapalli waterfall area, whether it is scenic beauty will be increased or the environmental perspectives or environmental biodiversity will be enriched in that area. If you feel so, you can comment on in the chat box, or just to keep like this in a bucket. There's a large bucket. We can see that in a dam. You just concept it like that, free flowing river, or the water stored in a big dams. And another one, so a mining in the midst of a greenery, or keeping those things as such. So what will be the advantages of keeping those things? What will be the what is going to give us, the nature is going to give us back to us if we conserve this kind of environmental scenic beauties or environmental keeping the environment as such. So that is we are going to discuss. And so why we are doing the environmental impact assessment is defined by the UN agencies, that impact assessment is the key instrument in achieving the conservation, sustainable use, and equitable sharing. So you have to remember the sustainable use and equitable sharing along with the conservation aspect. So from where we are getting the responsibility to protect or to conserve the environment, particularly in India. So the Constitution clearly mentions that Article 48A is the duty of the state to protect, to conserve, to formulate laws regarding environmental conservation. And the Article 51A(G) gives the citizen the right to raise the voice against environmental violations or environmental degradations, or to protect the environment on behalf of the citizens. That is the responsibility of citizens. Every citizen is capable, or the responsibility is having the responsibility to protect, to conserve the environment. So that is the basic idea of the environment conservation that is given by the Constitution. The 7th schedule of the Constitution provide the state the right to give the responsibility to formulate environmental laws. So what is the basics of environmental laws? So we have given that whether our suggestions or our opposition notes can be heard by the public or heard by the decision makers or the government agencies. So the basics of environmental laws are formulated in these 4 concepts. The public participation principle is the key point in any kind of environmental law. Public should, their participation should be there, and the precautionary principle comes late. Then polluter pays principle, the prevention principle, all these idea or the concept gives a better understanding or better formulation of environmental laws, pathways to environmental laws. So from where it has started, the environmental frameworks, from where it is started, from what is the reason behind the environmental frameworks, whether it came, whether it is particular to India or Pakistan or US or Dubai. Okay, so we look into that. That is Stockholm Conference was the first conference regarding environmental conservation that is called Earth Summit. That is the first conference, that is 1972 in Stockholm. So during that time, the state, all the industrious nations or third world countries or developing countries or developing nations sit together to discuss about environmental conservation, because 1972 marked many industrial accidents because of the industrialization in the global world. Maybe the history people will get to know about all these things, the history. So 1972 marked, you can see the London smog, the 3 Mile Island, 3 Mile Island incident, something like that. So people get to know that the governments knew that there should be some mechanisms to check the environmental, the industrial development and environmental conservation. So they have formulated that there should be some mechanisms. We have to formulate environmental laws. And after the 20 years, all the nations sit in Rio de Janeiro for another conference. It called the Earth Summit in 1992. During that time, almost all the countries have the environmental laws regarding to protect, whether it is forest, whether it is wildlife, whether it is natural resources. So in many of the laws came in between 1972 and 1992. And after that, 2017 in South Africa, there is another conference. So during that time, almost all African countries could formulate the environmental laws. As part of this, also these frameworks, India also have some few of the legislations regarding environment. That is that one is the Wildlife Protection Act in 1972. That was the first one that has to be formulated as an act, Environmental Protection Act, in that aspect. And later it comes the Water Act, that is in 1974, then Air Prevention Law in 1981, and Forest Act 1980. But the most important environmental law came in 1986, that is Environmental Protection Act. The EIA notification comes under this act, and that is the main advantage of EIA. So EIA has a legal backup because of this Environmental Protection Act. So whether it is Wildlife Act 1972 or Water or Air Act or Forest Act comes early of the Environmental Protection Act 1986. Most of these laws comes under the purview of this EPA Act 1986. So the most powerful environmental act is Environmental Protection Act 1986. Then comes Biological Diversity Act 2002 as part of this Rio Summit, and Hazardous Waste Management Regulation 2003, National Green Tribunal Act in 2010, and Coastal Regulation Zone Notifications that comes in 2011. That also comes under the Environmental Protection Act 1986, and EIA notification also has to get CRZ, that we will call it as Coastal Regulation Zone notification as CRZ in the short form. Have to get the approval from CRZ authorities if any project is going to happen in the coastal area. So we have already told that there are different kinds of environmental conferences. After the 1972 to 1992, we have different kind of laws, and according to, based on those concepts, 1992 the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, the first environmental impact assessment notifications came. So why there is an environmental impact assessment notification took that much time is because The 1992 Earth Summit declaration, that is called as Rio Declaration, clearly mentioned that there should be a mechanism, there should be an impact assessment for any kind of developmental projects. So accordingly, environmental impact assessment notifications came to existence in almost all the countries. So we have post year 1994 that almost 34 projects comes under year 1994, and in 2006 also we have around 39 projects comes under a different category that I will discuss in the next slide. In different categories to cover to get the environmental impact assessment, that is for getting environmental clearance. Okay, so why there is different kind of notification comes in between, that is year 1994 we have, year 2006 we have, and now it comes the year 2020. So the main thing is that there will be different kind of projects not included in the notification. So there should be some mechanisms to include the different kind of projects that arises because of we have started our industrialization or globalization process in 1990s after the Narasimha Rao Sarkar government. So there are a lot of projects is coming. So we have to include a lot of regulations, a lot of environmental projects clearances. So there had 8 amendments to the EAA notification, first EAA notification 1994 in up to 2006. So later EAA 2006 has been came, so it has given some power to the state governments to categorize project. It also categorized project in category A and category B projects. So the category A projects comes under the central government appraisal committee, and category B comes under the state level authorities. Okay, so the state government is appointing the appellate authority for looking after the projects. So in between, after the 2006 EA notification up to the 2020 notification, we have 55 amendments, 230 office memorandums, and different court directions. One of the directions from the court was the positive influence of court directions was that they had in the first time there were no district environmental impact assessment authorities. So the National Green Tribunal that we mentioned in the 2000, it came to existence in 2010, has given a direction that there should be a mechanisms to check the environmental clearance procedure at the district level. So the category B projects, that state level projects, split into 2, that is category B1 and category B2. So the category B2 projects will be looking after at district level, and category B1 will be looking after looking in the state level authorities. So this is the regular structure of an environmental impact assessment notification. There will be a project, see item number, there will be there will be an item number, then comes the project. So what is the condition for it to become a category A project, category B1 project, category B2 project, and what is the conditions if any project will be, if it is a category B2 project, it will be considered as a category B1. So what will be the conditions to be for such kind of changes in the notification? So there will be a conditions mentioned in the last conditions, if any. So accordingly we have to modify the project proposals. So there will be after this notification there will be a form 1A clearly mentions what kind of project we are about to start. So which is the item number. So we have to give the item number 1 in the first column. Then whether it is a category A project or category B1 project or category B2 project, that we have to mention in the application form. So only looking into the notification, we can we can fill that application based on to which agency we have to submit our application. There are different kind of projects. So one is that coal mining projects, industrial projects 1, industrial projects 2, infrastructure and miscellaneous projects plus CRZ clearances procedures comes under those committees, and non-coal mining, river valley and hydroelectric projects, and the thermal projects. So coal mining means the large scale mining, non-coal mining means the coring projects, that is majority in Kerala. So around 7 expert committees will be there. So these each expert committees will have around 15 members and an appellate authority that is comprises 3 members generally. And they will looking after the 15-member committee will be looking after all the projects according to the EA notification, and they will refer after site inspection. They will refer it to the appellate authority for environmental clearance. So how it is work in the central, state, and district levels? Okay, that is clear. That is mentioned here. I'm not giving a description. I just will give a description about these things. So if it is a category A project, it will be sort out in the ministry level. So there will be an expert appraisal committee, that kind of sectoral EAC. So we have mentioned the sectoral, that's coal mining industry, to which sector we have to give that project for project approval. So there will be appraisal and recommendation. So they will give to the appellate authority, that is expert appraisal committee, and they will give the grant of environmental clearance. EC means environmental clearance. So that we can see in which are the projects applied for environmental clearance, or which are the projects got environmental clearance, that we can see in the Parivesh, that is the site MOEF is operating specifically for this kind of clearance procedures. So just like that in central, we have category B1 and B2 projects. The state environmental impact assessment authority will look, or the union territory environmental impact assessment authority will looking into the project submitted, proposal submitted to them, and they will give their report to the state environmental impact assessment assessment authority, assessment committee. So they will appraisal and recommend for final environmental clearance in state level. The same is happening in the district level. There will be a district environmental assessment committee, appraisal committee. They will have site visit, and after that they will give the recommendations on their proposals, and the district environmental authority will give the final clearance to the project proposal submitted to them. So accordingly, the environmental clearance procedures, they have last April 2019 to December 2019. The different environmental clearance has given can be seen in here. So the industrial development, industrial projects has given 171 projects to go to the environmental clearance, 115 infrastructure, that is means road construction, some building construction, or such projects to go to 115 such projects to go to environmental clearance in last year, and 18 mining, that's including coal and non-coal mining proposals. 3 thermal and 5 river projects, and 10 nuclear or defense projects got environmental clearance. So when you looking into these kind of things, you will have an idea that we will get the environmental clearance if we submit it as early as possible, or whether we are going to start a project. So after submitting the application for environmental clearance, we will get the environmental clearance very easily. So we will have a looking into this. In Kerala, that is, we can see that first column, that's number of coring permits granted, can be seen in different years. Around 11,059 projects has been given for coring permits, and coring leases has been given to 129 projects as coring lease. That will comes around category B1 projects. Okay, but see the illegal cases dictated by district mining and geology, Department of Mining and Geology, double the project sanctioned. The violation is double the project sanctions, around 20,000. We have only 10,000 projects. We have 20,000 violations. So that is the major drawbacks of any kind of environmental regulations. So there is no mechanisms to check their environmental activities or post environmental clearances. So the Controller and Auditor General has verified or audited the environmental impact assessment notifications procedures. Around 206 projects they have verified. So what are the drawbacks for the environmental impact assessment 2006? So generally, the structure of an environmental clearance procedure is that we are submitting a proposal. They will give terms of reference. Based on that, we have to conduct an environmental impact assessment study, or we have to submit an environmental impact assessment report. So for different structures, different kind of projects, there are different structure of environmental EIA reports. So accordingly, we have to submit the EIA reports. Then they will appraise and they will give clearance along with few conditions. If we are giving environmental clearance for these projects, and you have to follow a few conditions. That is, general condition is there and specific condition is there. So you have to follow special conditions, important, that is very important because it is specific to that project, and general conditions, that is almost similar to different kind of projects. So what the CAG has found out that there are delays in grant of EC. If we are giving a proposal to get environmental clearance, it took more than 1 year to get an environmental clearance. So if we are going to start a project, we have to wait indefinitely to get an environmental clearance. That is the major drawback of the during the year 2006 period. And there is no monitoring after getting the environmental clearance. After granting environmental clearance, the agency is giving some general condition and specific conditions, but there is no mechanism to check whether they are following these conditions. So that is the main point, main drawback in the EA 2006. And for similar projects, the expert authorities has given different kind of terms and conditions. That is, we are called the terms of reference for similar projects. That is the main drawback they have noticed in another drawback they have noticed in the project proposals. And we have to give some, the project proponent has to give some commitments to protect that we will conserve the environment. We are giving some environmental management plan as part of the EIA, but there is no legal provision for that commitment. Whether they have, if they didn't follow that commitments, there is no mechanism to get that things to be happened in the site. So the major conditions we have, that is environmental management plan, that is we will call it in as EMP. So if they have committed EMP, there is no mechanism whether they have conducted the project based on these proposals. So that is another mistakes or drawback in the EIA report mechanism or environmental clearance mechanisms. And another one is that public hearing for any kind of projects that is comes in category B projects or category A projects, there will be a public hearing procedures. So there should no, there is no clear-cut directions whether there should be this much people in that meeting, and the most of the pupils attended should be from the local authority or from the local area or the project impacted zone or impacted area. So if we are that is the main what is the problem in that is that if we are conducting a public hearing for our proposal, we can bring people whether they are not from the local residency or from different parts of the area. So we can tell them that this is our project. You just give them positive notes, so there won't be any kind of, or we can pay them, pay the people and come bring them people to the public hearing procedures. So nobody is going to check whether they are from the project proponent side or from the impacted side. So the thing is that the basic concept of public participation, the public in the environmental conservation is destroying this because of these kind of deficiencies in the notifications. And in the environmental clearance procedures are monitored in regional offices of in Bangalore, in Chennai, and in Lucknow. Earlier we only have around 4 to 6 regional offices. Now it increased into around 14 regional offices, and there is no enough staff to check or to monitor all these environmental activities by the Environmental Destruction Act or project activities by the proponents. So the thing is that we are giving environmental clearances and we are giving some general conditions or specific conditions to follow up. based on the environmental EIA report, there is no mechanism or there is no staff to monitor all these procedures. And another one is that if we are complaining about a particular project that they are violating environmental clearance or they are destroying environmental natural resources, there is no mechanism to check what is the status of that complaint we have filed. So there is no database in the violation cases. And also that after getting environmental clearance, the State Pollution Control Board has to give them consent to operate. Only after getting the consent to operate from the State Pollution Control Board, they can start their activities, project activity, whether it is construction, whether it is a factory, whether it is a road. They have to get the consent to operate from the State Pollution Board. But after giving that consent to operate, the responsibility of State Pollution Control Board stops there. They have no right to monitor the post-environmental clearance activities. So that is the another limitations in this one. And we can see that we have given some complaints for environmental clearance. Those earlier I mentioned that this is a terms of reference or terms of conditions that has to be given for first stage clearance. We can see that first stage clearance there is time limit is 60 days. Only 14% of projects has got the TR in the stipulated time. Another one is that for getting environmental clearance, it takes 105 because we have to get the TR approval. Then accordingly, we have to conduct the EIA report. So the time duration is 105 days. But only 11% of projects got the environmental clearance during the stipulated time, And also I mentioned earlier, I mentioned that we have a report structure for preparing environmental impact assessment report for different kind of projects. But on the 25% of 25 to 23% of projects never followed the environmental report structure. In general conditions, that is getting after along with the environmental clearance, in 4 to 50% cases they have never followed general conditions, and 5 to 57% of cases they have never followed specific conditions. So the basic concept of EIA destroyed by this kind of lack of monitoring. And that's in 26% of cases projects they have never followed the environmental management plan, and in 57% of projects they have never followed flora and fauna conservation plan. They have committed in the EIA report. And also they have maybe you will be knowing that there will be a corporate social responsibility fund, CSR funds, for each and every projects for corporates, whether it is a corporate or beyond some amount around 50 to 50 lakh above, they will be having some CSR fund. They have to give their CSR fund to the local people, the project impact to the area. But in 20% of cases, they have never done the CSR activities. And accordingly, they have not followed 47% of they have not mentioned, they have not done the green belt developments. And 64% of cases, they have never implemented the EMP. And in 56% of cases, they have started the tree cutting before getting the permission. And in 47.6% of cases, they have never prepared an environmental clearance monitoring cell, because that means when we are getting an environmental clearance, there will be in the general conditions there will be a point. There should be an environmental clearance monitoring cell comprised of the manager or the CEO and the environmental engineer or environmental scientist and the senior staffs of that company. But in 47.6% of cases, they have never formed such kind of monitoring cell. And that made the policymakers, the government, to introduce the EIA 2020. Earlier we have seen that After 2006 EA notification, they have made 55 amendments, 230 office memorandums and court directions, and they have compiled all these project proposals or these directions or office memorandums into one and modified the 2006 EA notification, and that makes EA 2020. So if you are asking me whether EA 2006 is, whether it is a 2006 or 2020 is good, I will tell you that we have to get another EIA that should be a green EIA. Now the EIA notification never ever give the exact role of environmental conservation or environmental protection with this current notifications. So what is the advantage in we can see in EA 2020 that we can have a look into that. So it has given more power to the state agencies. So they have reclassified different projects, so it can be checked in the state level agencies, and they have classified into category A, B1 and B2. B1 and B2 should be should be checked in, should be verified in the state level. So a lot of regulations they have modified to benefit the industrial communities, and they have introduced the instant TR. Earlier we have, it will have around 60 days to get the TOR, but now they have to give TR in 7 days. So that is the another thing we have to look into. We have to specifically look into that. That is, if government is mentioning that it is a strategic project or a defense project, we have to give the TOR within 7 days. So there won't be any kind of mechanisms. So what kind of a project is that? What are the environmental impact is going to happen because of that project? So there won't be such kind of verifications. So instant TOR is a trap to bypass the environmental conservation activities. And as we know that there is 105 days to get the environmental clearances, but according to the new notifications, there will be if we are starting a project under the small scale projects, so MSME, you might be knowing that we will get the environmental clearance very within 30 days or within 45 days. So that is another problem, because in the 2019 budget speech, they have given that up to 100 crores of projects, turnover projects is come under small scale projects. So if you are verifying that 100 crores of projects, how much damage or how much investment there will be, changes that will happen to a small area if without conducting any kind of environmental impact assessment. And another one, there were cluster EIA bar EMPs. So they have given a clear specifications for cluster EIA and EMP. What is a cluster means? If a project comes under a 500-meter distance, if two projects comes under 500-meter distance, it will be considered as a cluster. In the 2006 notification, they were saying that we have to conduct cluster EIA. But who has to conduct that cluster EIA has not mentioned in the 2006 notification. But in EIA 2020, they have mentioned that it should be each project proponents should deposit few amounts to the district authority or to the state authority whenever another project comes within 500 meter to conduct environmental impact assessment authority, environmental impact assessment report study. So that is the main advantage in EIA 2020. They have given a clear-cut direction how to conduct the cluster EIA and EMPs. And earlier we have said that public hearing procedures is there, public consultation is there. So there won't be any kind of quorum, this much people comes from this. Along with that, they have diluted the time period. Earlier, 30 days of time period was given to conduct the public hearing procedures. If we are giving we have to give in the newspaper an advertisement regarding the project, then after 30 days only the public hearing can be conducted. but now it has been reduced to 20 days. And they have what the reason for that, they were saying that there are different kinds of because we have online platforms, WhatsApp and Facebooks and such kind of channels we have, so people will get to know about public hearing as early as possible. But the problem is that it's a huge document. The EA report will be around 300 or 400 pages reports. We have to look into that each segment. What are the impact on the environment? What are the impact on the air? What are the impact on the water? What are the impact on soil? Or what will happen to the fauna or wildlife because of that project? So the 30 days time period is very. It's not. It's not enough for us to give our directions or our suggestions. But in that, but what they have done is that because instead of increasing the time period, they have reduced it to 20 days. It's only to benefit the project proponents or the industrial people. And they were saying that earlier we have to conduct the public hearing procedures only in a specific area, whether it is an auditorium or in a school or something like. Now they can do that in via online, just like what we are doing that in Google Meet or Zoom or any other kind of platform. They can do the public hearing. So what is the drawback of that? That if some pupils got less internet speed, they cannot give proper directions or proper points, and it will not be heard by the project proponent. Our suggestions will not be included in the public hearing procedures if we could not if we could not have a clear internet connections. So that is the another problem regarding this one. And a few of the projects, they have given extended validity for environmental clearances. So earlier mining projects, the larger scale mining projects have 30 years of environmental clearance time, but now it is extended to 50 years. So you just see what will happen in a duration like 30 to 50 years, what will happen to that particular area. And also we have mentioned that there is no mechanism to post monitoring the clearance procedures or monitoring procedures. Because of the understaff, there is no clear-cut agencies to monitor all these things. So what they will do is that we cannot imagine what kind of damage is going to happen to the environment regard or natural resources because of these extended validities. And also we have mentioned that we have the right, the constitutional rights to complain, to give our suggestions for any kind of environmental violations. But in year 2020, our right has been revoked by the agency, by the ministry, that they are specifically saying that only the project proponent or the government staffs or the monitoring agency can only report the violation regarding environmental clearance to the ministry or to the regional offices. So that these are the major drawbacks in year 2020. So earlier also we have given that how it is going to happen in a structure just like this, how it is going to verify, or this is the decision making procedure, and this is how it is going to reach the decision makers. There will be a scoping. We have to conduct a draft. We have to prepare a draft EA report. After that, we will have a public consultation, that is meant by public hearing, and including that suggestions in the public hearing, we have to prepare the final EAA. It will go for appraisal, and there will be a grant or rejection of prior environmental clearances. Then comes category B2 projects and category B2 projects. So for category B2 projects, there will be only required EMP report, that is environment management plan. So that is the another drawback in this new EAA 2020. Environment management plans has to be prepared after conducting environmental impact assessment report. Without conducting a report, we will not be knowing what are the distractions or what are the drawbacks is going to happen because of that project. So the such EMPs based in preparing without EA report will be a bogus report without clear-cut regulations or idea about what is going to happen in that area. So this will also give a bad impression on the environmental conservation aspect. So this is category A project has to be given the environmental appraisal committees. They will go to environmental appraisal committee in central level, category B1 in state level, and category B2 state level. Whether they can also come give to district environmental impact assessment authorities. And there are some projects we have done. Category B1 projects should be handled in state level authorities, but there are some conditions. If the category B1 will be considered in central level committees without changing in the category, if such project, if the projects comes under 10 kilometer or 5 kilometer radius of protected areas, critically polluted area, or eco-sensitive area, or it comes in interstate or union territory boundaries. If a project comes under, if it is in Wayanad, there is a project. So, or in Palakkad, it comes under within 10 kilometer or 5 kilometer radius of Tamil Nadu or Karnataka border. That project will be handled in the central level without changing the category. Or the project comes under severely polluted area that is identified by the Central Pollution Control Board, or the eco-sensitive zones identified by the Ministry of Environment and Forest, or the state level authorities. So such kind of projects will be handled in central level authorities. So what are the major changes? We can see that I have taken only two conditions, that is two sectors, that is building constructions and highways. Earlier in 2006, it was 20,000 square meter area or built up area. Up to that area, they have to get the environmental clearance. But in 2020, it has raised into the base level, raised into 150,000 square meter. That is, what is the major difference between these kind of building constructions is that the Lulu Mall in Kochi is having 58,000 square meter area. So if I think you will have visited that area, Lulu Mall. So that much area will be cleared for getting a such kind of project, for implementing such project. There will be tree cutting, there will be a land filling. So there will be different kind of environmental impacts will be there. But in 2020, they have mentioned that 150,000. If we are constructing 3 Lulu Mall, just like in Kochi, we don't want to conduct any kind of studies. So the basic idea of environmental conservation is destroyed by this EIA 2020. And another one is that highway projects. Up to 100 kilometer highway projects, we have to conduct environmental clearances. Environmental EIA report we have to prepare. Accordingly, we have to prepare the EMPs and we have to go for environmental clearances. But in the 2020 notifications, if it is any project comes under greater than 100 kilometer, only we have to conduct EIA projects. And also the 70 meter road width, if it is there 70 meter greater than 70 meter road width, only then only we have to conduct EIA reports. Right now, our in Kerala, the road width is 30 meter to 45 meter only. The road width, but we know that what are the implications, what are the environmental degradations is going to happen if we are widening any kind of roads in Kerala. But in the new notification, they have clearly mentioned that there should have to conduct any kind of EIA report for projects greater than 70 meter road width or greater than 100 up to 100 kilometer area. So that is a major drawback. So what is the concept of EIA 2020 is that they have raised the base limits and destroyed the concept of environmental protections. And another area is that they have given that border area up to 100 kilometer aerial distance. If any project comes under the border area, if, that is in 100 kilometer in aerial distance, they doesn't want any kind of, that doesn't require any kind of EIA or environmental clearances. That means if a project is going to happen in Northeast or in Kashmir, they don't want to go for any kind of environmental clearance procedures. So they will destroy the northeastern states, our border states, especially the biodiversity rich northeastern states. So the EA 2020 is that they have destroyed or they have killed or they have murdered the basic concept of environmental protection. And they have delisted or reclassified many projects. I have mentioned only the important one in here. I think it is getting recorded, so you will get the slides from the site, from the recorded one. The violation, I also mentioned earlier that only violations will be done by, violation can be reported by the project proponent themselves or any government authority or other appraisal committee or during the regulatory authority. The standard TOR 7 days TOR procedures, instant TOR concept also for highway projects in border areas, in industrial estates, expansion of proposals in LRP and nodal clearances, and all building constructions and area development projects covered under. They have also have to get TOR within 7 days instead of 60 days. So another public consultation exempted from the free projects. They have exempted public consultations. I have listed in this one, and along with that, they have mentioned a strategic project, projects. They have not clearly mentioned what is the strategic projects. Okay, so any project can be considered as a strategic project, and they can go for, they can bypass environmental clearance procedures. And the major comparison, I have mentioned that along with EA 2006 and EA 2020, there were never a post facto approval. That is, if anyone started a project without environmental clearance, it has considered as violation in EA 2006, but in 2020, it can be rectified with giving some fines to the agency. It can be get the clearance. So if so, what is going to happen is with the EA 2020 that most of the people will go for post fact approval without conducting any kind of environmental impact assessment studies. And there were no mention of strategic projects, but in EA 2020 they have mentioned that strategic project, but they have never defined what is a strategic project. So any project can be considered as a strategic project, and they can bypass environmental clearance procedures. And the mines validity, we have given that element also said that 30 years, they have raised into 50 years in. For other projects, that is infrastructure projects, building construction projects, mining projects, earlier it was 5 to 7 years according to the project conditions. It was 5 to 7 years. In EA 2020, it became 10 years. So 10 years is a huge period considering the project proposal that we have seen in the first slide, the mining activities. So within a year or within 2 years or 10 years, they can destroy the entire area without any kind of monitoring on the environmental conditions. And they have reclassified around 40 types of projects. They have reclassified in EA 2020. That also diluted the concept of EA. And there were mentioning of that 3 seasonal data, that is in summer, winter, and monsoon season we have to conduct. Now only 1 season data, that is if we are going to conduct a project, we are going to conduct an EIA study. We have to get air data or air pollution data or water quality data or soil quality data in 3 seasons. But now it is mandatory that only 1 season data only is required. So it became a mandatory in EIA 2020. So with that data cannot be in monsoon seasons, but they can collect the data in any winter season or in summer season. Majority of the in the pollution status, majority of the pollution will be higher in If it is an air pollution, the pollution will be higher in winter seasons. So they can bypass the data and they can give a clear cut, clear data that there is no much pollution because of this kind of activities. And public hearing procedure, earlier it was 30 days and now it becomes to 20 days. And compliance report, as we know that there is no mechanism to check the compliance report half yearly. Earlier it was half months, 6 months, a half yearly project, half yearly annual compliance report. Now it became mandatory that only annual report only has to submit, but there is no mechanism, clear cut mechanism to check regarding this one. And the new construction projects, it was 20,000, now it is 1,50,000. Public regarding public concern, we have the right. Now there is no such kind of rights. And these are the major conditions. Monitoring of prior EC. It can be monitored by category A project, can be monitored by regional office or regional directorate of CPCB, but there is no staff to monitor. And category B project at a state pollution control board, but they have mentioned that they have to be monitored by the state pollution control board, but they have not given how they have to monitor this kind of condition, or it has to be given as clear-cut directions. Only then the state pollution control board will looking after this kind of monitoring aspects. And another positive direction is that third part institute, any third agencies, any institutional agencies or research institutes can monitor the environmental conditions or environmental activities by the project proponents. But there also they have to list out which are the agencies or which are the institute can do such kind of activities. And these are the environmental consultants. They have to get the NABIT accreditation. Consultants only can prepare EAA, and NABL approved labs only can prepare the laboratory testing, just like water testing, air quality testing, soil testing, and all those things. And these are the summary of environmental clearance procedure based on the EAA report and all those things. Thank you.
So hope everyone has got a clear-cut idea regarding what is EIA now, and it's our right time to react against or raise our voice against this draft. And we know that the government has kept this draft for in public domain to see the opinion of public. നമുക്കറിയാം പരിസ്ഥിതിയെ സംരക്ഷിക്കാതെ നമ്മൾ മുന്നോട്ട് പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പരിസ്ഥിതി പ്രതികരിക്കും എന്നതിനുള്ള വലിയ ഉദാഹരണങ്ങൾ നമ്മുടെ കൺമുമ്പിൽ തന്നെ നിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെയാണ് വീണ്ടും പരിസ്ഥിതിക്ക് ആഘാതം വരുത്തുന്ന ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ പോളിസികൾ മുന്നോട്ട് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. So we have to resist our voice and we have to raise our opinion regarding this. So once again, I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Abdul Shukur sir for this wonderful informative session. Thank you, sir. And now I take this opportunity to thank the coordinators of this program, Mr. Mohammed Ali, Assistant Professor, Department of English, KSM Unity Women's College, and Mr. Shabir Mon, Assistant Professor, Department of History, KSM Unity Women's College. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for your patient listening and active participation. Thank you all. Have a nice day.